What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I love to talk about all things Peloton cycling and fitness. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday, and today's video is gonna be a fun one. We're starting another strength program on Peloton, but this one is a little out of my wheelhouse. I'm going to be doing the Floor Bootcamp 2 4-week program with Jess, Sims, and Selena. And the description is Jess and Selena are teaming up once again for Floor Bootcamp 2. Didn't take Floor Bootcamp? Don't worry, you can jump right on into this 4-week program and take your strength and cardio to the next level. I am one of those people that didn't take Floor Bootcamp 1. I considered going back and taking that first. But even in the description, they're like, it's fine, you don't need it. And I figure if I really like Floor Bootcamp 2, I can go back and take the first one. I don't think it matters that much. I am not really a bootcamp girly. I never got super into it, but I am intrigued. I just finished running my half marathon this past weekend, and I feel like I love running, but I'm ready to take a little bit of a break from it. And Floor Bootcamp is a mix between strength and cardio on the mat still. So you're not using any cardio equipment. So I'm intrigued. I think it'll be a fun little break from, cycling, from running, while still getting some cardio in, and then obviously also getting some strength in. I really like Jess and Selena, so I think that it should be a fun program, but they also bring it. They're definitely on the harder side in my opinion. So I think it'll just be a fun program, nice to bridge into summer with. So today is Monday. We're gonna do week 1, day 1, which is a 30-minute floor boot camp by Jess Sims. And the description is, it's day 1. Jess kicks things off with this 30-minute class focused on push movements. Get ready to get that glazed donut look. Which, push movements means usually push-ups, but we'll see. I really don't know what to expect. I haven't done a lot of boot camp classes, so it'll be interesting, but I love Jess and I am ready to go this morning. So let's go to the gym, hit the mat, and knock out week 1, day 1. I really enjoyed that class. I'm pretty sure it's the first floor boot camp that I've ever done, and it's about what I expected, but I feel like it was fun to switch between the strength and cardio, and it was effective. The strength, we were, doing good strength moves, and the cardio definitely got the heart rate up. I also loved Jess. The music was good. We were really vibing today, but it was still hard. It was not an easy class. So we started off, we had a 5-minute body weight warm-up, which was a mix between cardio and strength warm-up. So jumping jacks, we did the world's greatest stretch where you are in a plank and then bring your leg up to go into a lunge. I feel like a lot of instructors really like that stretch, and some other moves. And then we were ready to get right on into it. We started off with strength, which I love. I would rather start with strength because it's harder. And we did a wide grip chest press, a dumbbell sumo squat, and then we finished with a combo move that was a backwards lunge. And then as you were coming up with the backwards lunge, you lifted up and did a shoulder press on one side. I used 20 pounds for the chest press, 120 pound for the sumo squat, and 15 pounds for the lunge shoulder press combo. She said at the beginning of class to grab medium and heavy. I grabbed 15 and 20, which I think is also what she was using, and I feel like that was the appropriate weight for me. We did that little set 3 times and had a little bit of recovery in between each set. I didn't mind that there wasn't recovery in between moves because they were all using very different muscles. I went into this thinking that it was gonna be an armist focused day because it said it was a push day, but it was really full body. We got everything. So yeah, I like that set, no complaints there. And then we went into our first cardio segment where we did 30 seconds of squat jacks and then 30 seconds of tuck ups. And tuck ups are definitely hard, but I don't consider them a super cardio move. My heart rate was definitely spiking more on the squat jacks and then like had a little bit of recovery on the tuck ups. But it was nice to like slip some core into there. I don't mind tuck ups and I could always do more core. And we did that 4 times. And then we were back to strength and we did a 6-minute AMRAP. And you know, I'm a fan of long AMRAPs now, so I enjoyed this one. We did 8 plank marches, 8 Cossack squats where you're like going from one side to the other, kind of like a lateral lunge, but you're not like moving your feet at all. 8 on one side, 8 on the other, and then 8 squat thrusts with no weight. So the only weighted move was the Cossack squat, which we just used 1 weight and I used a 20-pound. You know, I didn't get through a ton of it. I did 3 rounds in 6 minutes, but I was happy and it was still definitely like spiking my heart rate. I feel like you're coming off of cardio, so your heart rate is already kind of like primed to spike. Like I feel like once my heart rate spikes once, it's easy to spike again. But a 6-minute AMRAP is no joke, and especially the squat thrust, that's kind of like a cardio move as well. So I liked it. It was a good portion, and then we had a little bit of a Tabata set at the end. Although I will say the first cardio set was also Tabata because it was 30 seconds on, 15 seconds off. But this was 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, and we alternated between plank shoulder taps and skater hops. And I like both of those moves. I actually really like skater hops. I find them to be very fun. Again, they definitely spike up the heart rate, but we did that 4 times and then it was over. Overall, I really like this class. Enjoyability, I would give like a 9 out of 10. It was a good time. I feel like when it's divided into the sections, it really passes by quickly because you're like, oh, I'm doing strength. Oh, now I'm doing cardio, and you're like not getting bored at all. So if you feel like you do classes and you're bored, like I would recommend this class. It was fun. Difficulty, I would give like a 7 out of 10. It's definitely hard to rate because it's not like a true strength class. Like it's not a difficult strength class. The strength moves are not that hard compared to like some of the other splits and programs I've been doing. The difficulty I think comes in between switching between the strength and the cardio, but I feel like it's portioned well that you're never like super dying. And then on the flip side, it's also not like a super hard cardio class. Like this is not the same level of cardio as like running on a treadmill, even cycling on a bike in my opinion, but it does get the heart rate up. It does make you sweat. So if you want like a little bit of cardio and a little bit of strength, I would recommend. If you want to go like super hard, I would think that a 15-minute like treadmill class and then a 15-minute strength class would probably be harder. But I do think that these are highly enjoyable classes, so I think there's still value in them because overall you do what you like to do. So day 1 was good. I'm very interested to see what the rest of the week is like. Basically, the format is every week, the first class will be by Jess, the second will be by Selena, and then the third will be them together. And I'm very excited for the 2-for-1 because those are always a lot of fun. It is now 3 days later, it's Thursday morning, and we're ready to dive into week 1, class 2, which is a 30-minute floor bootcamp class by Selena Samuela. And the description is, Selena introduces the first EMOM of the program in this class with a focus on pool movements. And honestly, I usually like EMOMs, but it really depends how hard they are, so we'll see. I'm very intrigued, but I think I'll like this class. So let's go to the gym and knock out week 1, class 2. I like that class, but I didn't love it, and I'm really not sure why because a lot of the moves are like right up my alley. So I don't know if I'm just a little tired today or what, because I feel like it is a good class. So we start off 5-minute warm-up. It is the same exact warm-up that Jess Sims does. Seems like this is going to be the warm-up of this program. I'm totally fine with it. I love like a nice little 5-minute warm-up in the class because I don't typically warm up outside of it. And then we got right on into the first strength segment. Selena said we only needed 1 heavy weight, and she's like, start with 15 pounds, but think like hip bridges and rows. And honestly, originally I was thinking 25, but then at my gym, someone was using the 25-pound weights. So I got a 20-pound weight, and I feel like that was the right weight for a lot of the moves, but I probably could have bumped up to 25 in some. So the first set was a 30-second hip bridge. then directly into a single leg hip bridge on one side for 20 seconds, then directly into a single hip bridge on the other side for 20 seconds. And then we finished the set with a dumbbell lat pullover for 30 seconds. And honestly, I feel like for this set, 20 pounds was right. I love hip bridges, but a minute and 10 seconds of hip bridges straight definitely catch up to you. I feel like maybe I could have gone up to 25 for the dumbbell lat pullover. That did feel a little easy. But honestly, like there's no time to switch weights, so you kind of got to commit. And then we got a 20-second rest, and we did that set 3 times. Then we went into our first cardio section, which I was just very okay with. We did 30 seconds of high knees, 10 seconds rest, and then 30 seconds of punches. I'm just not a big punches girl. I mean, high knees, I'm not like a super fan of either. I think they're like kind of boring, but they definitely did do the job. Like my heart rate went up. But punches, I feel like, I don't know if I don't have enough oomph in it or what, but it doesn't really like raise my heart rate, and I feel like I just look silly. So just very okay with this cardio section. And we repeated that section 4 times. Then we went into a 6-minute EMOM where it was 6 bent over rows on one side, 6 bent over rows on the other side, and then 6 dumbbell cleans. And I love these moves. These are right up my alley as well. I was using 20 pounds, but I honestly should have gotten the 25-pound weight at that point because I do feel like this was a little bit easy. I was finishing with about 20 seconds left, which honestly, like, that's kind of the sweet spot for me. I want to have like 15 to 20 seconds of recovery in each minute. But it did feel a little bit easy. But honestly, I was just like, you know what? I'm okay with it a little bit easier today. And then we finished off with dumbbell chops where we were doing 20 seconds on one side, 10 seconds off, 20 seconds on the other side, 10 seconds off. And we did that 4 times. And I feel like both Jess and Selena were like, oh, the last cardio set is Tabata. But it's like, the Tabata is more recovery than the original cardio set. Like the first cardio set was 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off, and the second was 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. So Tabata is not bad. It's actually good in this situation. But this definitely got my heart rate up. Again, I like dumbbell chops. Like it was a good move. And then the class was over. My strive score was significantly lower on this class, which was interesting. I think it was like around 11. And in Jess Sim's class, it was 19. I think it's because I definitely lowered my heart rate during the punches. Like that's not a cardio enough move for me. And the dumbbell chops are kind of like strength and cardio. Like it definitely got my heart rate up a little bit, but it was weighted. So I feel like it's a combination of the two. But honestly, a lower strive score like doesn't bother me. I don't have like any particular goals around like burning calories or like trying to get my heart rate up. So I thought it was a good class. I just didn't love it. And I don't know why, because I like Selena's personality. The music was great. The vibes were good. So I don't know. The jury's still out, but we'll see. I definitely like pull movements a lot. And it wasn't a bad class. I wasn't unhappy during it, but I feel like it was just okay. So enjoyability, I would give it like a 7.5. Difficulty, I would give it like a 6. I thought it was definitely easier than Jess Sim's class. I mean, it's reflected in my strive score. I could have pushed the weights a little bit more, but just overall, I feel like for me, pull movements are easier than push movements. But overall, still a good class, and I'm very excited for the 2-for-1 next time. Selena was really hyping it up at the end. It is now Saturday morning, and we are ready to wrap up week 1, class 3 today, which is a 20-minute floor bootcamp class with Jess and Selena. Tagged intermediate, the description is Jess and Selena team up to close out week 1 with the first benchmark class. Double the sweat and double the fun. So we'll see. Benchmark classes are usually pretty hard because obviously, you're trying to get your best score. So let's go to the gym, hit the mat, and knock out this benchmark class. I like that class a lot, but I don't think that it is the best benchmark class. Honestly, I feel like floor boot camp doesn't really need a benchmark because we're not doing super, super intense strength training. So I don't think that there's going to be a ton of gains over this program. But We'll see. It's only 20 minutes, so it's very fast. And yeah, I wouldn't consider this like a floor boot camp. It is just a benchmark. Like we're not doing cardio during it. So we did our typical 5-minute warm up, no complaints there. Jess and Selena said to grab a set of light weights and a set of medium weights. And they're like, we have 10 and 15s, but they didn't tell us like what the moves were at all. 10 and 15 was sounding very, very light to me, so I grabbed 15 and 20, and I do think that that is the appropriate weight for me. It was a push, but I feel like 10 and 15 would have been way too easy. We started off with a 6-minute AMRAP. You know, I love the long AMRAPs now, where we were doing 10 dumbbell push-ups, 10 wide grip bent over rows, but we were alternating, so we were keeping it in the upward position and then alternating down, and then 10 dumbbell cleans alternating. So we were kind of just like swinging them up. We bent over like a little bit to get that hinge movement, but definitely not as intense as like a typical dumbbell clean where you're like starting from the bottom. For the dumbbell push-ups, I just did normal push-ups. I really don't like dumbbell push-ups. It hurts my wrists a lot. So I did that modification. And I used 20 pounds for the rows and the cleans. And like, this was hard, but it felt like the right weight for me. And I got through 4 complete rounds and then the push-ups and the bent over rows of the 5th round. So we'll see next week if I make a little progress there. I honestly feel like I was going pretty fast today, but you know, maybe next week I can go a little bit faster. And then after the 6-minute AMRAP, we had a 2-minute break, and then we had a 6-minute EMOM. So the EMOM, I used my medium weight, a 15-pound weight. I feel like that was a good weight, and we had alternating minutes. So the first minute, we did 10 Russian twists weighted, and then we did a single arm dumbbell thruster where you have one weight in the same side that you have the leg in a backwards lunge. And you do the lunge and then you like push up at the same time as you're coming out. I like that move. That definitely spiked the heart rate a lot. And for the odd minutes, we did the dumbbell thrusters on the right side. On the odd minutes, I typically had around like 20 seconds of recovery. And then on the even minutes, we did 10 V-ups, not weighted. And we did that single arm dumbbell thruster on the left side, also 10. And the V-ups took me a little bit longer, so I typically got around 15 seconds of recovery on this side. And we just did that 6 times and then it was over. I just feel like it's really hard to measure progress in an EMOM. Like at most, even if I got a lot stronger, like maybe I could go up weight and that would show progress. But with like time recovery, they're like, oh, like to see if you can get more recovery as the weeks continue. I feel like that would be a pretty hard goal to achieve towards, just because you're working with such a small amount of time to start with. Like if you can get it from, 45 seconds to like 43 seconds, I feel like there's a margin of error there. But I did like the class. I just don't know like how easy it will be to measure progress over the weeks, but we'll see. The playlist was good. Selena and Jess were super fun together. Selena was talking about Akatar, which I thought was funny. Jess had no clue what she was talking about. It was just a fun, energetic class. We did the work, got out. It was a good workout. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Enjoyability, I would give like a 7.5 out of 10. I do wish there was a little bit of a cardio segment in this, just to stay true to the floor boot camp structure. And difficulty, I would give like an 8 out of 10. I don't think it's the most difficult thing ever. I mean, the AMRAP I was trying very hard in, and like that's the point. But the EMOMs like did have a decent amount of recovery. And yeah, I didn't think it was like super, super difficult. So that's a wrap on week 1. So far, so good. And I'm ready to see if it's like more of the same next week or if they mix it up a bit. It is now the next day. It's Sunday morning, and Jess and Selena definitely emphasize rest days in this program. But for my upcoming week, it really helps if I do day 1 today. So that's what we're going to be doing. I feel like completely recovered from yesterday. It was only a 20-minute class and like it wasn't the hardest thing in the world. So I feel confident going into week 2, day 1 today, which we kick off week 2, day 1 with a 30-minute floor boot camp by Jess Sims, tagged intermediate. The description is, Jess kicks off week 2 with the perfect combination of strength and cardio exercises. Get ready for some new movements to keep things exciting. And I love Jess. I've been liking this program. I am ready to kick off week 2. So let's go to the gym, hit the mat, and knock out week 2, class 1. Jess Sims was definitely not playing around today. I do think that the classes that are Jess Sims only are the hardest classes. I love Selena, but I feel like she makes them a little bit easier where, sometimes you want that. But, when you have a Jess class, you're going to really push yourself. So today, my Strive score was lower than last Jess Sims class, but I don't think it was easier. I attribute that to two things. First off, I had a little bit of some Wi-Fi issues during the first cardio set where my video kept pausing and I had to disconnect and reconnect to the Wi-Fi. So that kind of gave me some built-in recovery, which I think then made my heart rate not spike as much. And then I also was having watch issues. So for 7% of the class, it didn't have my heart rate, which is not that much of the class, but it does contribute it. Today's Strive score was only 12.6, but it definitely felt just as hard, if not harder, than the first Jess Sims floor bootcamp class. We started off with our typical 5-minute warm-up, and I really liked that warm-up, no complaints. Jess said to grab light and medium weights. She said she had 10 and 15. To me, 10 pounds just sounds too light. There's almost no move that I want to be doing 10 pounds with anymore. So I grabbed 15 and 20. But boy, was that a push, but definitely the right weights for me. It just was hard. And we got into the first strength set, which was a JM press. And I've done these a couple times, but they're definitely hard. You move your weights in this on your back. And she's like, oh, if you play basketball, think about doing a pass like this. And honestly, that helped me a lot. But those are hard, they're killer. I used my 15 pounds and we did those for 45 seconds. Then we did a dumbbell squat where I bumped up to the 20 pounds for 45 seconds and finished with hand release push-ups for 45 seconds. And for the hand release push-ups, Jess was doing them on her knees. So, I was just following the instructor. I was also doing them on my knees. She's like, these are gonna feel absolutely killer after the JM presses. And she was right, but on the knees, it wasn't that bad. And then we repeated that set twice and went down to 30 seconds for each move with a little bit of recovery in between, but not a lot between the sets. So that was definitely a good hard first strength set. Then we got into the cardio section, which was a single leg lunge jump. So you went back and then you would jump up and bring your knee forward. And we did 30 seconds on one side, 15-second break, 30 seconds on the other side, 15-second break. We did that 3 times, and then we did a little finisher where we did 15 seconds on each side. But man, those are also killer. They're not that hard of a move, but you just constantly keep doing it. You can really feel the muscle build up and it getting sore. But I do like that move. I'm not in love with jumping, but if I have to do a jump move, that's probably my number one. I like driving my knee forward. Then we went back to strength for a 6-minute AMRAP. That was 6 weighted bear crawls where 1 would be going forward and then 2 would be going back. So 3 forward and back bear crawls, 6 hip bridges, 6 L raises, and 6 push presses. I did all of this with 15 pounds. That was definitely a push weight. I could see the benefit of doing it with 10 pounds, but I want to push myself. I'd rather go a bit slower and really get some good reps in than go faster with less weight. Jess said to aim for 4 rounds. I did 2.5 rounds, but I was trying. Those bear crawls were really hard. I thought the L raises would be the worst, but I actually think the bear crawls were extremely hard with that weight. And then we were into the last cardio section, which was Tabata, even though the first cardio section was also Tabata. I don't know if 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off is what makes it Tabata, but yeah, I always thought it was just 2-to-1 work recovery. And we did plank pike reaches, which I actually really like those. I feel you also get a little bit of a stretch in while you're reaching to the opposite foot. And then we did 20 seconds of goblet squat jumps with a weight. And she's like, use your lighter weight. So I was using 15 pounds. And I knew I wasn't going to like it as soon as she said squat jump. But I'm like, you know what, Jess, for you, I'll try. It's only 20 seconds. And I tried it and I was like, no, thank you. This is not for me. I'll be going up on my toes. Jess said you could modify it if you didn't want to jump. And yeah, I was just like, there's no way I'm jumping this. And we did that for 4 minutes straight. And then the class was over. Definitely a hard one today. A lot of jumping, which I'm not the hugest fan of, but I feel The first lunge jumps didn't bother me that much, and then the squat jumps I just modified, so it was still a good class. And yeah, some spicy moves like the JM press, the bear crawls, even the L raises. Like, we were really getting at it today. It was another push focused day. For difficulty, I would give it like an 8 out of 10. It felt pretty difficult to me. I don't know if I was just like hot or a little bit tired from yesterday still, but I was really going through it while we were doing these moves. Enjoyability though, I would also give it like an 8 out of 10. I did find this class pretty enjoyable. It did pass by quick, even though we were doing some hard moves. And I do appreciate like doing some different moves. Like, I haven't done a weighted bear crawl in a very long time. I don't do those JM presses a lot. So it's nice to kind of like mix it up and do some new moves. But today was good, but I'm very, very ready for a rest day now. It is now 2 days later. It is Tuesday morning, and we're ready to get into week 2, class 2, which is a 30-minute floor boot camp class tagged intermediate by Selena Samuela. The description is, feel the burn as Selena switches up the movements in this 30-minute sweat session. And I think that today should also be a pull day since last time it was a push day. I do feel like Selena's cardio is usually easier than Jess Sims, but we'll see. Selena could always bring it. I do think she can have some hard strength in there as well, but I do like pull movements. So overall, I think this class should be manageable. Let's hit the mat and knock out week 2, day 2. I'm pretty sure that, Selena heard me talking crap that she was too easy, because today's class really amped it up in my opinion. We were doing some hard moves, some hard cardio moves, but it was a good class overall and I did enjoy it. We just really pushed ourselves. So we started off with the 5-minute typical warm-up, no complaints there. I like that warm-up. And Selena said to grab one heavy, she's like start at 15 pounds, and 2 mediums start at 10 pounds. Again, I don't want to be doing 10-pound moves, so I grabbed 2 15s and 120. And that was a good weight, but it was definitely a push weight, which is what I want. So like, no real complaints, the weights were right, but at the same time, they were hard. And then we got right on into our first strength set, which was a bridging clamshell with our one heavy weight, and then a concentrated curl on the same side with our heavy weight. And the clamshells were not bad with 20 pounds. Like, I've definitely done those with 20 pounds before. But the concentrated curl with 20 pounds, like, I could do it, but I was going slow. It was definitely a concentrated curl. It felt good to like push myself to that weight though, because I don't typically do that. But yeah, it was hard. And we did that set on one side, and then we did it on the other side, got a 15-second rest, and then repeated 2 more times for a total of 3 times. So that set was good. It was definitely like hard, but not super, super hard. And also my heart rate was pretty low during it because it was kind of like slow strength. And then we got into the cardio section, which is where my heart rate started spiking. We did bicycles for 30 seconds, 15 seconds off, burpees for 30 seconds, 15 seconds off. And we did that set 3 times, and then an extra 30 seconds of bicycles at the end. And man, oh man, burpees are always hard. The bicycles weren't too bad. Like, the bicycles are not hard cardio-wise, it's the abs, obviously, but then the burpees really get the heart rate up. So I thought that was a great little cardio section. It definitely was effective in spiking the heart rate. Then we went into a 6-minute EMOM, and this EMOM was just like too hard in my opinion. It was your medium weight, so I had 15. If I had 10, I could definitely have done this faster, but it was 6 Zottman curls, 6 reverse flies, and 6 snatches. After the first 2 minutes of trying to get through all of them, I'm just going down to 4 of each move. When I did that, I got around a 15-second break, which is what I usually aim for in EMOMs, and I felt a lot better. Like, there was just no way I was going to be able to do 6 of everything for 6 minutes straight. And once I went down to the 4, I obviously liked the EMOM a little bit better. But I think it's okay to modify. Like, especially I would rather do heavier weights and less reps. So I think that it worked out. And it was a good EMOM then once I went down a couple reps. And then we finished with a lunge jump where you were just like staying on the same side, and you did 20 seconds one side, 10 seconds rest, 20 seconds on the other side, 10 seconds rest. We repeated that 4 times. And I just was not jumping at this point. I'm like very against jumping, so I just modified and went up on my toes. Selena said you could do that. Obviously, she wants you to jump, but I am just not a jumper. It still felt like a good workout, and then the class was over. My Strive score was the lowest out of all of the bootcamp classes so far. It was only 10.1, and I really don't know why, because during the class, I really felt like I was working. I don't know. I almost kind of think that my watch might be incorrectly reporting my heart rate, but who knows? It definitely felt hard. Enjoyability, I would give it like a 7.5 out of 10. I wasn't crazy about the lunge jumps or the burpees. Like, they were effective, but those definitely aren't the most fun move for me. For difficulty, I would give it like an 8 out of 10. If I was doing the entire EMOM, it might be a little bit harder, but I did modify some moves. You know, I didn't jump, I didn't do the full EMOM, but it was still a challenge. It was a good class, it was a good pool day, and I'm ready to wrap up the week next time. It is now 2 days later, it's Thursday morning, and we're ready to wrap up week 2 with class 3 of this program. It's a 20-minute floor boot camp class tagged intermediate by Jess and Selena. The description is, Jess and Selena are back for their weekly 2-for-1 benchmark class. Make sure you're keeping track of your progress. So we'll see how today goes. I really don't feel like I should have made that much progress in the last week, but we're gonna go in with a positive attitude. It should be a fun class. 2-for-1s always are. So let's hit the mat and wrap up week 2 of this program. Today's class was a good one. It was structured exactly the same way the last benchmark class was structured, which no complaints there. If I'm gonna take a benchmark class, I want it to be exactly the same, no surprises. So that was good. So I don't have like a ton to say because it was exactly like last week, but we started off 5-minute warm-up that we've been doing, no complaints there. Then we got into our AMRAP, which was 10 push-ups and then 10 alternating rows, and finishing with 10 cleans alternating. I used my 20 pounds. Last week I did 4 2/3 rounds. This week I actually did see improvement, which I was surprised. I went up to 5 1/3 rounds. I'm curious to see if I keep seeing improvement. The reason why I didn't really expect to see any is I just feel like we're doing so little strength because there's really only 2 classes between this benchmark and the last benchmark, and half those classes are cardio. So I was a little surprised, but I was feeling pretty good today, pretty amped up. And like, it's always nice to make some progress. I do think that part of it is just like kind of knowing what to expect, knowing the moves better, and just like being able to move faster. But no complaints, I'll take the win. And then we had a 2-minute break and finished off with our 6-minute EMOM, which was the same. The odd minutes were 10 Russian twists weighted with our medium weight, so I used 15 pounds, and then a like lunge push press all on one side on the right side. And then the even minutes were 10 V-ups not weighted, and then the same lunge with the push press on the left side. And I had about 20 seconds of recovery in this EMOM for both sides. So yeah, it felt good, really, again, no complaints, and the class was over. Honestly, if I had like one feedback for this benchmark class is I wish it was 30 minutes. I guess a benchmark class, the point is to just kind of like benchmark yourself, but I feel like it just goes by like way too quick. Like I definitely could have done a little more today. But at the same time, I feel like I was like doing all the moves right, the weights were right. Like I don't think that I could have pushed weight, but I was just like ready to go and ready to get some more workout in. Enjoyability, I would give it like an 8 out of 10. I love a predictable class, an enjoyable class. I honestly don't remember what I gave it last week, but I do like knowing exactly what to expect and having there be no surprises. And Jess and Selena were fun. They have good banter. The music was good. The class vibes were good. Difficulty, I would give maybe like a 7 out of 10. I don't think it's like the most difficult benchmark, and I feel like for the AMRAP, that's kind of like where you can push yourself the most. I don't know if I can go faster, but I guess we'll see next week. I could also consider pushing weight, but I think that would make it like really, really hard. But we'll see how I'm feeling next week. And then again, the EMOM, I could also possibly push weight. So maybe next week will be a lot harder, but this week felt very, very manageable to me. And I'm gonna wrap this video up here and start a new video for weeks 3 and 4 to finish the program. So far, my thoughts on this program is that it's kind of just okay. I think I do prefer to have cardio and strength split on the days. So the days that I'm doing strength, I'm really committed. And the days that I'm doing cardio, I'm also really committed. I enjoy the classes, like there's nothing wrong with them. And it's definitely not a bad program. I just don't know if it's like the best program for me and for my goals. But it has been fun to kind of like switch it up and do some different classes on Peloton. Before this, I was doing like a lot of heavy strength training. So it's nice to have a breath of fresh air, take some classes with Jess and Selena. Overall, it's still a fun and good program. And I'm excited to wrap it up in the next video. If you've taken this program or if you've taken Floor Bootcamp 1, let me know your thoughts. I would be curious. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys are staying safe, having an awesome week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.